welcome back to Two Bears Trekking. Today we're going to be talking about work camping.
Work camping.
And we've actually gotten some questions on this. Well, not only from maybe our audience, but you in person here.
Yes, from working where I'm working, because I'm work camping here.
Yeah, so you'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's briefly talk about the different types of sort of work camping. What does that mean?
What does work camping mean? I mean, that's a good question. Work camping can be different kind of options, but you need to think about what you need as a work camper. So work camping, you can work at a state park and just, basically almost be a volunteer in a way.
Right.
You get a free site. You might do a little bit of cleaning of the sites or the restrooms. There's other kinds of work camping, ones that you not only get a site, but you also get money for it.
Right, like an hourly rate.
Right. So, and you have to keep in mind that is a job.
It can be, yes.
Right. So
yes.
you need to be prepared for what you're looking for, what you need, and what is expected of you.
Okay. And then so there's also things that really you don't think of as traditional camping, because the ones you've mentioned include basically a campground, right? So I guess there's also, you can lump the beet harvest into that. And if you haven't heard about that, up in the northern Midwest, every fall they have for a few weeks sort of an intensive beet harvest because it is timely with the weather. So you can go up there and they give you a place to put your rig and plug in, and then you work like 12-hour days and 7 days a week. There's opportunity for overtime, so it's a very intensive amount of time.
Well, there's also gatekeeping, which is a different kind of thing as well.
Right. So gate guarding, gatekeeping. A lot of that is down south. A lot of it's with oil properties, but that can be a 24-hour position, and you need an RV, and it's geared towards couples mostly, but there are single spots available as well, where you stay off-site and then you sort of use the guard shack on your 12-hour shift, and that's very intensive too, because you have like a daily rate and you can do it like you're on every day, so you'll never be off together if you're a couple.
Right. So where do we go? What do we got?
Yeah, so I guess some of the places to start, where do you find these jobs? Well, talk about you. How did you find your position?
Well, you found my position.
That is true.
What kind of experience do you have? What have you done in the past? For me, I was a concierge, and I loved that. Now, I really believe in hospitality. So we were looking for a place for the summer. Up north,
Northeast.
It's closer to his family. So we came across this option. Where do we find it? We found it on.
This was on the Work Camper Facebook group, and it's literally Work Camper.
There you go.
And they also run like a paid site or database, I believe, which we never got that far because the general manager of this particular campground just put a post up there, and I was like, I forwarded it to you through Messenger. I'm like, hey,
check this out.
Yeah.
And so I checked it out. I do your research, I think, is a real key here.
Yes.
You need to do your research, see what you're expected, the company you're going to be working for, et cetera, et cetera. I really liked what the company represented of here. And so, because it was hospitality was pretty high on their list.
Yes.
And so, I basically did a cover letter, I applied and got a phone call.
Yep. Had your interview
Had an interview in.
offered a position.
There you go.
And so for the timing of that, people, I think, ask how far in advance. For you, I think that all happened in November, December time frame for an April start of the following year.
I would start getting serious 6 months ahead of time, for sure. But do your research even a year ahead of time.
Right.
Know where you're going and what direction you're wanting to head, because that will give you enough time to do your research on locations.
And the more popular places are going to fill up sooner.
Yes. Well, like probably. Florida, for instance. I mean, that's,
Florida. Yeah. And a lot of people say, oh, okay, so I want to get a position in Florida during the winter. Well, it's not impossible
No.
for your first position,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want like a paid position, so the more that you want out of a position, you want a site, you
Mm-hmm.
want it to be paid for all hours,
Mm-hmm.
etc. I want it in a prime location like Florida during the peak season, winter.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will say, well, you need to sort of put in your dues
Right.
and work a summer season
Mm-hmm.
for them in Florida because it's harder for them to fill. So always think of it as well from the employer's perspective
Mm-hmm.
as
Well,
well.
and then also look at what you need. You need to think about what you need. For instance, for this location, the site was included, electricity was included, dump was included, laundry is included.
Yes.
Uh, what do you want with regards to a site? Now, the more that is included, the more that's going to be expected of you. So be
Great
prepared for
point.
that. So,
And this is a full-time 40-hour week job. It's not,
mm-hmm.
oh, maybe, it's 30 and
30,
maybe more
25,
hours are
yeah,
available.
right.
So you do need to decide what is right for you.
Mm-hmm.
We did have someone start the season here
Mm-hmm.
who had just volunteered in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that person came in with slightly different expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ooh.
And it respectfully, it didn't work out for them. It really didn't. And I think that they were expecting something and they didn't do their research. That's my personal opinion.
Right. So it's important to know what the expectations are.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings up another good point. We say, look far in advance, but positions do become available as people move on
Mm-hmm.
and things change.
Right.
I know a position was open here, I
Mm-hmm.
think,
Yes.
right now. So
right. So I
so
mean,
those do become
always be
available.
willing to look. But
Yep.
here's an interesting thing, and I think you made reference to this. I was working, and I'm not going to go into really details too much about my work location or what I do, but somebody was wanting to get a seasonal site here. We didn't have any seasonals available, but
And it was too expensive to do a monthly.
Right, too expensive to do a monthly. So then what I ended up mentioning after they said, well, I don't think it's going to work, I says, have you ever considered work camping? They didn't know what work camping was. So I was able to explain, what it was and how they would be able to get a free site and get paid and everything. So listen, observe. I like to be helpful. And I think this work camping is a great option, I think.
It is, and I don't think people necessarily know it exists. And
Mm-hmm.
and to the extent it exists, and
Mm-hmm.
really all over the country.
Right.
In some places, it's not seasonal.
Right.
They do hire workers who stay as long as you'd like,
Mm-hmm.
or those who work the peak season because they do need more people, like Tennessee and those places.
Mm-hmm. Compared to Montana and North Dakota, which
are strictly seasonal.
Strictly seasonal. Yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, and then when you do decide on a position, there are other groups out there who do reviews. The Work Campers site does allow you to kind of comment on particular places, but
Mm-hmm.
there's an entire different group that gives good, bad, and ugly
Mm-hmm.
reviews of places, and you'll get to talk to other work campers.
Yes.
To get an idea of what they've done,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone has a different experience,
Mm-hmm.
and they can tell you what's worked, what hasn't.
And with that statement, comment down below. Ask your questions down below. I will say what I can, being I'm still working, but I will give you information as much as I can, give you my thoughts, etc. Ask your questions. I'm more than willing to answer.
Absolutely. And hopefully next season we'll continue work camping.
Right.
Maybe I'll jump on board as well.
You've been mentioning that.
Well, with my eBay business, and I had a lot of personal things that would have sort of disturbed from the
Mm-hmm.
schedule
Right.
This particular season, and I didn't think that was fair.
Right.
To a potential position.
Right.
And but I will say, and don't be afraid to be upfront. And if things aren't quite what you think, or as people say, you're mobile.
Right.
And that is the beauty of
You can pick up
work
and leave if you
camping.
need to, but keep that in mind.
All right. So like, share. If you have anyone who's interested, make sure they see this video. This is just an introduction. We're going to do some more in-depth videos
Right.
on this particular topic in the future.
Absolutely.
So make sure you subscribe.
Yes.
And as always,
Keep on trekking.